Vince McMahon stepping down from his role as the chairman and CEO of WWE amidst allegations leaked by the Wall Street Journal that he was having relations with an employee, passed her off to John Laurinaitis after he was done with her, and then they paid her off for her silence. And of course, this was leaked to the Wall Street Journal this week. And almost immediately, Vince McMahon went out publicly and stepped down from his role as the chairman, which kind of surprised me. I would have thought he would have clung to that a little bit harder. And Stephanie McMahon has been named the interim CEO as of now. Take a look at this clip here from Sean Ross Sapp going over the details, and then I'll catch you on the other side and we'll break this one down because there is a lot to talk about here.
It says the board of WWE is investigating a secret $3 million settlement that longtime chief executive Vince McMahon agreed to pay to a departing employee with whom he allegedly had an affair, according to documents and people familiar with the board inquiry. The January 2022 separation agreement bars the now former employee, who was hired as a paralegal in 2019, from discussing her relationship with Mr. McMahon or disparaging him, the people said. The board's investigation, which began in April, has unearthed other non-disclosure agreements involving claims by former WWE employees of misconduct by Mr. McMahon and one of his top executives, John Laurinaitis, the head of talent relations at WWE, the people said. The journal could not determine how many previous agreements were being scrutinized. The board's outside counsel was still collecting information about the NDAs this week, but has determined the payments totaled in the millions of dollars. The board's 8 independent directors have retained New York-based law firm Simpson Thacher and Bartlett LLP to conduct the investigation, one of the people said. The board's preliminary findings are that Mr. McMahon used funds to pay for the former employees who signed the agreements, including one involving allegations against Mr. Laurinaitis, the person said. More broadly, the law firm is also assessing WWE's compliance and human resources program and the company culture. A WWE spokesperson or spokesman said the company, which runs the world's most famous wrestling business, is cooperating fully with the board inquiry and that the relationship with the ex-paralegal was consensual.
So I don't think it comes as a surprise to many people that Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis would do such a thing. That's not the shocker here. Oh my God, I can't believe Vince McMahon and John Laurinaitis would be, paying office ladies fucking hush money for their sexual relations as they leave the company. But this is the kind of shit, this has been going on since the 80s, right? Vince had a thing going on with a referee at one point, and he paid her off too. And this, as far as we know, is accurate. There's no denial that any sexual relations happened with this woman. Apparently it was consensual. As far as consensual, we don't know if she was being paid for her services or incentivized, or the quid pro quo kind of stuff where you do this. And so here's the kicker. So she was paid hush money on her way out to the tune of $3 million, and this was to basically keep her from talking about her relationship with Vince McMahon or John Laurinaitis and her time at WWE, as far as everything that went on. Of course, one of her friends leaked this to the board of directors, and then I don't know if it was leaked to the board and then the board leaked it to the Wall Street Journal, or if it was leaked to the Wall Street Journal first. But this did cross the board of executives a couple months ago, actually. Right around shortly after is when Stephanie McMahon actually stepped down. So there is some speculation that that when Stephanie stepped down from her role, she was taking a break from the company back then, was actually to distance herself from this situation so that she could step in and be the CEO if anything were to happen with Vince and he had to step down. I think that happened maybe quicker than they expected. But, Vince's attorney, Jerry McDivitt, he's already come out and said that this was private money paid to this woman, not company money. So there's no denial that anything happened with this woman. There's no denial that she was paid money upon leaving to shut the fuck up. What the problem is here, other than just this is just general sleazeball behavior, I don't think any corporate CEO should be having to pay millions of dollars in hush money to former employees on their way out the door over sexual stuff. When you're the boss, you don't fuck your employees. That's just as simple as that. And I get it. I mean, you're in a workplace. I get it. When you're around people, shit happens. You're around people all day. That's why all these wrestlers fuck each other like bunnies and shit. You hear all these stories of all the divas hooking up with the wrestlers and stuff, or the women's wrestlers hooking up with the wrestlers in the modern era. It's been going on for a long, long time. I mean, that's just how it works. But Vince, being the boss man, needs to kind of keep his hands clean of that and go fucking stick his dick in somebody else's pool. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, other than it being general sleazeball behavior, there's nothing inherently illegal about it. But, I mean, adultery, I guess you could say. But, I mean, it's 2020. I'm sure Vince's relationship at this point with his wife is a business relationship at best. Linda knows exactly what Vince has been up to since the 80s. This has probably been their arrangement since the 80s. You know what I mean? They're a power couple. It's a business arrangement and nothing more. But Johnny Ace married to one of the Bella's moms, or one of the Bella's moms. They're twins, you fuck! Jesus Christ. Johnny Ace married to the Bella twins, is both of them their mom. So who knows what the status of all that kind of stuff is. But the real legal beagle trouble comes in here is that this lady was given basically 100% raise. She was bumped up to double what she was getting paid $100,000 as a paralegal, apparently. And then was just bumped up to $200,000 rather quickly, which is, anybody that does a lot of good work and they're earning their keep at a company can get a raise, but double to 100,000 to 200,000. So this is something that the board does have to take a look at, and this is something that will need to be investigated as to the time of this relationship and how exactly did she earn this raise. What was she doing at the time? What did she take on more or do more that got her the raise? That kind of stuff remains to be seen. And then this has also kind of opened Pandora's box to other hush money situations, other payouts that were on the books for Vince McMahon, where he's been doing this kind of thing since the 80s, man. There's multiple cases here, and I'm going to guess that this does open the door kind of in the Me Too movement, in the vein of the Me Too, that I think other people might start to come out in this situation too. And other people might start to speak up on their allegations and their stories. So this could be a giant shitstorm for Vince McMahon and the WWE. I am shocked that Vince stepped down. I really am. I would have thought he would have fought it more. But, he's smart and he's got a lot of smart people around him. And I think, him just stepping down before he's forced down and shit gets ugly. He has 80% voting power within the board of directors. So, I mean, nobody can tell Vince what to do. They can pressure him. They can push him. They can try to leverage him. But nobody's going to tell Vince he has to, okay? The whole rest of the board only makes up 20% of voting power. They can't say shit. But Vince did the smart thing anyway to step down and just kind of take the heat off of himself. He put Stephanie in charge. Stephanie is well deserving of this position, by the way. I know there was a lot of talk when she left the company a couple months ago or a month or so ago that there were some people kind of dogging her backstage and kind of saying like, She sucked at her job basically, right? And you know that she wasn't doing all that great. Um, that was those jobs that whatever she took over that she was doing there. Um, but as a CEO, she's been following Vince around since she was in high school. She's worked damn near every job in the entire building. You know, it's known that her and Shane. I mean, I don't know if both of them. You know, I mean, Shane I know mentioned he worked in the mailroom at one point. So but I think Stephanie worked in merchandise maybe when she started, but both of them worked in from the lowest positions in the building all the way up to, you know, Stephanie was a wrestler. She was a women's champion. She did bra and panties matches. She was in WrestleMania with Ronda Rousey and Triple H and Kurt Angle. She has done it all within the company. She's been sitting in on these board meetings. She's on the board. So she's been in on the board movie. She's been doing these conference calls. She's been sitting in on the creative meetings for years and years and years. She knows the ins. There's nobody in WWE that is more qualified or knows more than Stephanie McMahon at this point. And I'll fight anybody to the death over that one. You know, you could say a Nick Khan could slide in. He's going to do a lot of the business shit. He's been doing a lot of the business shit anyway. Vince hasn't been. Vince is the ultimate decider, obviously. But Nick Khan was hired to handle a lot of that shit. So he's going to continue doing that. Stephanie's the go-to, you know. Stephanie's the yes man at this point. She's the person that you got to go to get the approval of. She's the one that's got to okay everything, oversee everything. She's going to do a fine job of that. She's more than qualified to do that. She is a McMahon, you know, and I think it's brilliant. I think Steph is the McMahon if the company doesn't get sold. Even if it gets sold and they want a McMahon in charge, if she wants to stick around. But, the other thing, though, is we all kind of know that Vince is probably going to just keep running shit anyway, right? This is like mafia shit. Same thing he did back in the 90s. You know, you ever see the movie Casino, where the guy that's he's De Niro's character he's running a casino, and he's a high profile mob related type guy, so he's got to keep switching up his title every couple of months or so within the company, so that the board of regulations and licensings or whatever, they never catch on. And he's just run shit still, even though there's a figurehead CEO or boss man. He's just a puppet. And though I don't think Stephanie's fully a puppet, because like I said, she's more than qualified to take this job and is probably going to be the heir to Vince. And let's face it, Vince is 80 years old, so there's going to need to be a transition of power at some point. This might need to be that time. But also, I fully see Stephanie taking this job, you know, and still doing Vince's bidding, you know, still defaulting, you know, to Vince's rule. And, you know, she will be the corporate face of this whole situation, but Vince is really going to be running things behind the scenes. Certainly creatively, he's staying in charge. Nobody's taking that spot from him. But, you know, I would argue that he'll probably be doing a lot of the board, his CEO and chairman duties as well, behind the scenes, and Vince will just kind of pass along his will to Stephanie, and she'll carry that out for him. But it'll be interesting to see, especially if other stuff opens up about this, starts to come out about this. I think that can significantly make things worse for Vince. I think John Laurinaitis' time is numbered here. I think for now, this is a situation similar to the 90s. This isn't the first time Vince has stepped down as CEO. He was the chair. He wasn't the chairman because they weren't public at the time, but he was the CEO of the WWF at the time that the steroid scandal happened, and he was indicted. And he stepped down as CEO, and Linda took over. And Linda was on paper the CEO all the way up until basically till she started running for Senate or whatever the fuck she was doing over there. So, and that's Vince took back over the role of CEO of WWE. So, she wasn't the boss man running everything. You know, it was Vince. It's Vince's company, and she was just the corporate head of it. So I think it's going to be much similar to that. But I think this time around, there could be enough scandal here. There could be enough unearthed that could make Vince have to go away in shame. I'd hate to see that. I know a lot of people are down on Vince right now because of the scumbaggery, but I think we've all kind of been known this, right? So we've just kind of been living in denial, and this is just confirmation that this is who Vince McMahon is. But, we still don't, I can't believe a lot of us want to see Vince harmed. I mean, just because he's a dirty, perverted old man who likes to try to bury his shit in the litter box with fucking $100 bills, it doesn't make him I don't want to see the guy fall from grace like that. I'd like to see him go out in peace. And then there was this SmackDown thing. There's been some talk when he came out on SmackDown the other night as to what the point of that was. Was that him just soaking up the crowd one last time before he does go out in shame? Does he expect to not be able to do that ever again at this point? Either because the crowd will hate him and boo him because of his shame, or because shit's going to get worse and he doesn't want to show face publicly. Or was that him being defiant and coming out and saying, you know what, I'm not going to hide. Here I am, front and center, WWE forever. I don't quite know what to make of that. But regardless, now is the time to start transitioning the transition of power. Nick Khan already has most of the business power here. Obviously, Vince as a chairman and CEO, and now Stephanie as the chairman and CEO is going to have deciding power. But it's still going to very much be Nick Khan's job to do that kind of thing, run the numbers, that sort of stuff, get the big deals. But I think it's time to put Stephanie McMahon in that chair and start grooming her to be the next Vince. I don't think there's anybody more qualified that you can put in that chair at this time. And I think wrestling would, the WWE would thrive under Stephanie. And I would hope that she would bring in Triple H then at that point to kind of head up the creative team, and kick some of these old dinosaurs to the curb. I love Bruce Pritchard, but kick him out, kick out your Kevin Dunn's, kick out, and put your own team in place. Let Triple H bring back a lot of those people, your Shawn Michaels, unless he wants to keep Shawn down in NXT. But start rebuilding your team now that Vince is going to be out the door, if that can happen at some point. And Steph can be the boss lady, being the corporate face of the company. Triple H be the creative, Nick be the business. I think that's the way that WWE is going to go, at least until it sells. If it sells, I think it'll sell at some point. But even then, they may still want to keep that structure intact. So it'll remain to be seen how all of this plays out. But goddamn, again, not the first time in my lifetime, but certainly this is major news. This is, Vince McMahon stepping down, regardless whether if it's just figuratively or actually, is just major earth-shattering news in professional wrestling. So I expect this to continue to be a big story and more shit to come out from it. And I will continue to monitor it. So just keep checking in, and we'll keep you up to date here at the Pro Wrestling Podcast. On to the next motherfucker. Hey, thanks for checking out that clip. Don't forget to check out other clips here on the channel. And while you're there, throw a like, throw a subscribe. And don't forget to check out full episodes each and every Sunday of the Pro Wrestling Podcast.